Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast designed to analyze the games that we love, headlines and music, and the moves we can't forget. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going, man?
I'm finally glad to be back on, man. I feel left out,
I feel
man.
left out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man.
End of the year tradition. I was like, man, where's Savon?
It's all right. I'm not loved on full scope.
Nah.
That's what it is.
Yes. Well, for this one, we're joined by a special guest, Micah McDonald. He's been on for past episodes, a former college and a high school classmate of mine. Thank you so much for being back on, man.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here. I know the last two Savon wasn't there either, so I'm glad to have Savon back on for this one.
Definitely. Well, we have a lot of topics to get into for this one. Obviously, going to recap the college football playoff. I'm going to have some NBA topics and NFL ones, and in the second half, we're going to do some album reviews. To start off with Michigan's win versus Alabama at the Rose Bowl, Michigan won 27-20, and Blake Corum rushed for a 17-yard touchdown in the second snap of overtime, and that was the play that really decided the game. But the Jalen Milroy being stopped 2 yards short of the end zone on the final snap closed the game for Michigan, and it's an interesting game, Micah, because there were many times where Michigan they were making a lot of mistakes, self-inflicted wounds, but they were able to keep the game close. And then Jalen Milrow, he had moments of flashes of brilliance, but then also the self-inflicted wounds, the turnovers, the fumbles, obviously the snap issues. To you, like what stood out to you in that game, and also how Michigan was able to pull it off?
It was quite a weird game because you watch the first half and you get to the end of the first half, and if you don't know the score and you see what's happened, you think Michigan's up by 20.
Yeah.
And they weren't. And then you look at the second half, that's the same thing, but Alabama's way. But you mentioned the self-inflicted wounds. You mentioned the snaps, especially on Alabama's side, two consecutive error snaps when they were driving down the field. I think some of the biggest things is the pressure that they got on the quarterback, because this was the first time in I think 8 games for Michigan against Minnesota where they were never sacked at all. Right. And also they made 6 sacks on Jalen Milrow. So you have a total conflagration of pressure, and also you have Michigan, who JJ McCarthy threw 3 touchdown passes. That was his 4th time all season and the first time in a big game. Last 3 times were against Eastern Carolina, Indiana, and Michigan State in blowouts.
Right.
But also it's the first time against Alabama's defense that there was a quarterback that threw 3 touchdown passes since week 2 against Texas, which they also lost that game. So there's a couple of things that we haven't necessarily seen, but I think Michigan showed that we can play with a big team. And McCarthy showed that he can actually ball. He didn't throw a lot of yards, but he didn't throw an interception, and he was throwing touchdown passes, and he was commanding the game, and they did it when it mattered.
Exactly. To you, Savon, what did you kind of think about this win overall? Obviously, this was your pick from the jump to win the championship. You were really high on Michigan. They were battle tested, showed a lot of experience, made mistakes, but figured out a way, and they didn't panic. There were some times in past college football playoff losses or even bowl games where they would panic and make mistakes. Even that TCU lost last year. What stood out to you the most in this win for them?
JJ McCarthy. He stood out the most. This is not the same quarterback from a year ago. I knew this is going to be a game where Alabama was going to take away, which they always do, take away your biggest threat, which is Blake Corum, only at 83 yards. Obviously, he exploded at the end of regulation, scored the winning touchdown, go ahead touchdown to go up 27-20 in overtime. But they were stopping Blake Corum. JJ McCarthy looked really well. This is the difference between him and last year. He didn't understand the big moments or how to maneuver through the big moments. This time he was so accurate. The wide receivers were surprised by a lot of great throws, a lot of confidence in his abilities. And obviously we know JJ's not going to put up 300, 400 yards a game like Michael Penix or Ewers or all these other guys, but he's a game manager, which is Michigan loves those type of quarterbacks coming in, and he's not going to make many mistakes, and he's going to allow his offense to do what they do, and he's going to get the ball down the field. He's going to game manage, and that's what I expected Alabama to do. Stop the run, make JJ play, make him throw, and that's exactly what they did, but he stepped up to the plate, and he also did it. But I love what Michigan was able to do to Jalen. I knew that's what they're going to do. They're going to get after the football. This offensive line, who played really well the last 3-4 games, had a little confidence in them, walking across the field, walking in the middle of the defense. You guys just don't know, this front seven is really, really good, and they showed that with 5 sacks in the first half. So with Jalen, we know he can be a good quarterback. There's a little mechanics that still need to be tweaked, and he'll be okay next year. He's still a young quarterback, even though he's been there for a couple of years. He's still a young quarterback, and I understood what they're going to do to him, and they did just that. The last play of the game,
That's what I wanted to get to. The last play. That I don't get why that's the play that you pick.
That's the
I don't get
perfect
it.
play. And I'm going to tell you why that's the
Okay.
perfect play. That what Nick Saban said,
Savon's
they had
corner.
3 plays. Saban's corner. Every time you say that. They had 3 plays called, right? The first play, obviously, Michigan takes the timeout. Second play, Bama takes the timeout or something like that. And the third play, it's obviously the RPO. It's not a fake quarterback going up the field. It was an RPO. He read that completely wrong. As soon as they called the play, I knew it was work because they ran it twice. One, it was a quarterback fake this way, had a pulling guard, went up the field, and he did another play like that in the beginning of the first second quarter. So those plays were working. One, the snap was messed up, so the timing of that play is messed up, and he's a young quarterback, so the wheels are spinning real fast. I don't want to make something bad out of what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and go for it. So if you look how the Westcom bend, if he fakes to the RPO right here and bends the corner, touchdown. If he fakes the bend, throws it out, they had blockers on the outside, that's a touchdown. It was just the timing of the play was messed up. I think it was a good play. I think it was a good play call. A lot of people don't think so, but if you play football and watch football, that was a perfect play call because the running quarterback runs were working and then the screens were working, especially on, I think it was a fourth quarter, them driving down the field. They started mixing up, spreading Michigan out a little bit because obviously they can't run on Michigan, spreading them out, getting over top, making Jaylee run with his legs. But I thought it was a good play call. That's just me.
Michael, when you saw that last play, what was kind of going through your head
I
like
mean,
your hair was
it
made
was
out?
befuddling. Yeah, it was befuddling because in the moment, you're not getting being able to analyze what other things are happening. So in the moment, you're watching Jalen Milrow run straight to the middle of the front seven who had just sacked him 6 times that game, and you're sitting there like, what was that call after 2 timeouts, and this is their third play call, and that's what happens. But I mean, Savon's correct. It was a RPO play that was supposed to work. If he had gone to the outside, it would have worked. If we had passed it, it would have worked. But Jalen Milrow, and credit to the young man. I mean, if you look at what he's done this season and the adversity he's had to overcome,
Overachieved.
getting benched, having a horrible game against USF, and you think this guy's never going to play in the league again. This guy is bad. He's not. He's just not up to snuff. He needs
Excuse me.
a lot more work. And man, he took that mantle when he got back the starting job, and he didn't look back. And he's been absolutely incredible. But he blew that last play. But he's as Savon said, he's a young man. He's a young guy. He'll be able to work on that. He's going to learn from that mistake, and
Center.
he's going to the center.
The center blew that play.
Oh, the center's absolutely horrible,
Yeah.
which is why he just transferred out.
Yeah,
You
I
know, like
saw that. I was like,
that, it
Way
was
to go.
absolutely bad. He was a bad guy, but even if you're Jalen Milrow, I mean, you have to understand. Even in that moment, I understand you got to make a quick decision. But the play there, even with the messed up snap, is not to run up the middle against the Michigan team that just sacked you 6 times. And he didn't have anything there. They were all there. If he had gone to the outside, he's quick, especially showing what he could do in the fourth
yeah,
quarter and running the ball. He was running all over them from the side. But to me, they would not have been in that position if it weren't for 2 players. That was Reichard and Burnett. Their punter and
mhm,
kicker saved their game. Reichard
yeah,
was absolutely incredible. He's a legend. He's
yeah.
one of the highest scorers in history of college football. And Burnett averaged 50 yards a punt, a long of 62 on 7 punts. He even after getting hit with his knee and his calf in the first quarter, he was absolutely incredible. Credit to their special teams, except the drops, but credit to their kicker and punter for putting them in the position to continue to be in that game. But
Right.
yes, it was a right play call. Nick Saban knows what he's doing. He's not going to make a mistake in the play call. He knew exactly what he's doing. It was just run poorly, and the execution just wasn't there.
Definitely. And now getting to the Washington, Texas analysis and kind of thoughts on the dramatic finish of that. Washington won 37-31. Michael Penix Jr. threw for 430 yards and 2 touchdowns. Texas had 4 shots at the end zone after getting to the Washington 12 with 15 seconds left. And man, this was a wild finish to the game. Michael Penix, I thought he's been one of the most impressive quarterback this year. I know Jaden Daniels won the Heisman, but Penix is like so accurate, so precise. He put up another great game. To you, Micah, what were your thoughts on how this game ended and Texas having a shot at the end to win it?
Well, this game was just proof of what Michael Penix is. He's an incredible quarterback. You saw it when he went to Indiana, a fledgling program, and he took them and he actually did something with them in the limited time that he was there. He went to this team and he's immediately taken them to the national championship game. The boys balling out. They have one of the best offenses in college football, and he exposed a horrible defensive game plan by Texas.
Yes.
Why is Texas
Yes.
running man?
That is true.
Yes.
And I'm gonna read to you some drives. I'm gonna read to you some drives. I did my homework. Okay, I'm gonna read to you some drives. First Washington drive, a 77-yard bomb to Jalen Polk to set up a touchdown. That was man coverage. Third Washington drive, two 20-plus yard passing plays to set up a touchdown. Fourth Washington drive, a 52-yard pass to Rome Odunze, but failed to convert on the 4th and 1 that they could have gotten a field goal on. Then in the fifth drive, a 29-yard touchdown pass to Polk. And the 10th Washington drive, 32-yard pass to Dunze to set up a field goal. That's 24 points given up on those out of the 37 on those drives, and all of those are blown on man coverage. And if you were watching, I was watching the cast that had Colt McCoy on it. And he kept saying, "Why are we running man? Why are we running man?" And that was just the only thing I could think of the whole game. And they kept doing it over and over again. It was a horrible game plan. And then Washington almost blew it themselves by not kneeling the ball at the end. Texas should have never been in the position to almost win that game. And they almost blew that. But, I mean, Penix just showed he'll expose what you're going to give him. He exposed the man coverage, a horrible game plan by Texas.
Yeah.
Texas should have been able to win that game if they had just run some deep zones and some cover threes and cover fours, but they didn't. They ran man on the best wide receiver core in the country.
To you, Savon, what were your overall thoughts on that game? Obviously, the things Texas weren't able to do, and also what Michael Penix showed throughout the duration of that game.
I got to say, this is my pick again. You didn't say that. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's
Michigan and Washington for the championship. Michigan is going to win. But what I took away from this game, I had to go back and watch some more tape of Michael Penix because I knew he was a good quarterback, but I didn't know he was this accurate. Even the game, the first and second game with Oregon,
yeah.
I just thought he was a great decision maker. His accuracy wasn't on display. But for the first time, I had to really go watch Indiana highlights or just film from earlier this year. I'm looking like, man, he might go further. I know because of his injuries, he might fall to the second round, but I'm thinking like if somebody wanting to like have some trust or do like they did with Anthony Richardson when they drafted to the Colts, I think this guy can go first round. He's that type of caliber of quarterback. He has all the mechanics, all the tangible things, intangible things in a quarterback. He has a dog in him. He can extend plays. He's accurate. He has the pocket presence. I'm thinking like, man, how did he go to Indiana? Like, how did he end up in Indiana out of all the teams? And he's this type of caliber quarterback. But the second thing I took, obviously, why is Texas? I understand you had 25 sacks this season. You're on a high. And I told people Texas wasn't really back because they at an extent of their schedule, they play some teams that wasn't even worth talking about. And they had it. They play Oklahoma State in their conference championship. And a lot of people's like, oh yeah, Texas. No, bro. Texas skipped in because of where they were on, I think they were like number 6 or something like that. But I knew this was going to happen because they're going to get cocky. The offense is not going to move like they think they're going to move. And obviously they had a run late, but why run man? 25 sacks is cool, but you have Michael Penix Jr. You have Polk, on doing it's a lot of wide receivers on that. Everybody was having a field day. I just didn't understand it. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to make them beat the middle of the field. I'm running cover 2. You're not going to take the top on nobody. And then we can get to the quarterback and do cover sacks instead of trying to run man. And, it's a lot of stuff that I didn't like with the Texas. But the first thing I took from Michael Penix Jr., that boy going to play on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
he's definitely going to play on Sundays. Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
And for the championship, in terms of just like some early things that you guys are looking for, like to me, I think Michigan they obviously have the better defense. Washington it's a contrast of styles. Washington has the high tempo offense. To you, Micah, like what's going to be the key that really decides this game? Obviously, that Washington offensive line has to really step up, so Penix can have time. But what to you is going to be like the biggest key?
Well, we just talked about him. It's Michael Penix because I consider He is the game changing factor in between Washington and Ohio State. Because Ohio State has a similar offense. They have a similar we have wide receivers that can do work. They got a Micah McDonald and they got Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
And Michigan had the ability to stop them, but they also didn't have a good quarterback. He's not Michael Penix, and they have a decent running game, and Washington has an average running game. The thing that is different here, because we got two matchups that were similar play styles, right? Michigan and Alabama are both run. We run the ball.
Yeah.
And we have good defenses. That's what we're going to do. And Texas and Washington, we pass the ball. That's what we do. And Washington kind of impressed, even though for the whole year they've had an incredibly shaky secondary. The last half of the fourth quarter, those boys shut them down.
Yeah.
And an incredible. Obviously, it was kind of an inaccurate throw on that last play, but he made the play. He made the play that he needed to make. If it was a jump ball, I think Adonai Mitchell would have gotten that. Yeah. But he wasn't able to jump and get that ball. He had to get his feet down. But they stopped them. They made the plays that they needed to make. They also gave up a lot of yards. So that's where you're thinking in. And you have J.J. McCarthy, what he did against a good Alabama defense, and him being able to throw 3 touchdowns and getting the ball down the field against a really, really shaky Washington secondary. But I think Washington also has a stronger front seven than Alabama does. You have Braylon Trice, and you have those guys up there that are actually solid on the defensive line that can make a lot of pressure. But again, what Michigan didn't give up any sacks last game against Alabama front seven that is pretty decent with the shaky secondary. So you have a little bit of similarities there. But again, I think the difference is Michael Penix, because we saw a close game with Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I think Michael Penix is the changing factor. He can actually make stuff happen. He can throw the deep ball accurately. He can call changes on the fly. He can run the ball when he needs to. And so that's going to be the difference. I'm wanting to see if Michigan can keep the same amount of pressure as they can. I'm looking to see if Blake Corum can make the changes that he needs to make in his game, and if his backup can actually do something, because he had his backup, I think, at 13. Dylan Edwards had like 13 yards or something like that. It was very, very low in the last game, where he's normally a guy that can hit that outside and go. But my playmaking difference is Michael Penix, because he is one of the most impressive quarterbacks in the last recent years. You talk about stats and talking like, how could he go to Indiana? Well, his stats are comparable to Patrick Mahomes, and we're talking about how could he go to Texas Tech? Right. And he's not Patrick Mahomes. Don't get me twisted, but his stats are comparable to that Mahomes season, his last season at Texas Tech, and he's a phenomenal quarterback with weapons that are healthy now. And I think he's the playmaking difference in this game, and he's the one. If they can score, the game's over for Michigan.
Absolutely. To you, Savon, what would be your big X factor for this upcoming national championship?
A lot of people haven't got to Michael Penix Jr. That he reminds me of Tom Brady, how fast he gets the ball out, and if he holds the ball, he's decisive of where he's going to go. He understands his offensive line is not as good, so he's going to not. He's patient. He's not going to put his offensive line in situations where they have to block longer than expected. Yeah. Now, we look at the Michigan defense, 6 sacks against Alabama. Obviously, it's a cohort of styles of offensive linemen. They played really good for the last 3 or 4 games, gave up 6 sacks. I think they get to Michael Penix Jr. This will be the first time Michael will have to be more decisive as he has been, because I don't think this offensive line is going to hold as much as they did to other games. This Michigan defense is hungry. They see blood in the water. They understand that they can run man and get to the quarterback. I think this is I keep telling people Michigan is one of the most complete football teams this year, and it continues to show. And I think the difference is if they take the running game, and I think if they're going to allow Blake Corum to be Blake Corum, the play calling has to be different. You see the difference, the run plays he had in OT, besides in the regular play, like they were doing him zones to the outside. They were doing different, like stop running him up the middle. I know he's a bruiser, but he also is a looser running back. And obviously they're looking for him to go into the play calling has to be different for Blake Corum. And I think J.J. McCarthy just showed the world that if I'm put in a situation and I have to game minutes and have to throw the football, I'm more than capable of doing it. So I don't think Washington is going to be able to, they're going to have to blitz him. They got the blitz, and then if he has time, he's gonna deliver. He's gonna be accurate. I think it's gonna be a wits of what quarterback can outwit the defense. If they can get to Michael Penix Jr., Those deep balls, all that is going to be non-existent. And 6 sacks shows you Michigan is more than capable of getting to the quarterback. So it's going to be an interesting game. Michael Penix Jr., show the world you're the best quarterback and you should have won Heisman. I don't still think he should have won Heisman.
Chance he can do it. What an opportunity to do it in the national championship.
Deserved it.
And McCarthy showed himself, too, because he didn't just throw to Roman Wilson. He actually threw to other guys. And Roman Wilson was relatively quiet for most of the game until the fourth quarter. But he actually threw to that huge play, I can't remember his name, but that huge play on the sideline that happened about 30 yards down the field. He's throwing to players that aren't Roman Wilson, so Washington has to watch more than one guy now, and that's going to be scary for them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Good point.
And now transitioning to the NFL with the Ravens dominating the Dolphins. Baltimore won 56-19, also clinched the division title plus the top seed in the AFC. Lamar Jackson finished 18 of 21 without an interception and a perfect passer rating of 158.3. And man, this has been a great year for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, obviously, the clear, Savon, a couple episodes we're talking about who's going to be the MVP. Lamar Jackson, he like there's no doubt about who's going to be the MVP now with how he's playing. In terms of what they're doing, being the one seed for the AFC, also questions about, hey, should they rest their starters or not for the last game just because of what happened a few years ago when they did that, then we're 1-out in the playoffs. To you, Michael, what are your overall thoughts on what Baltimore is doing and how far can they go?
Well, it's quite astonishing because we had a battle of the top two teams in the AFC last week, and but this is the tail of the tape. I'll give you the tail of the tape. Miami is 2-4 against teams 500 or better. 2-4. Mm-hmm. One of those teams being the Broncos, who only turned it on in the second half of the season. The Ravens, however, are 10-3 against teams 500 or better, 8-3 and still in playoff contention. The other team was Bengals, who they beat twice, by the way. So that's to me the biggest difference. And obviously, Miami is hurting now because they lost Phillips, they lost Howard, they now just lost Chubb for the rest of the season as well. Mm-hmm. And Waddle's out this week. Hill's coming back from an injury. But the Ravens are interesting because you have the number 1 offense in the league against the number 4 defense in the league. But the Ravens are also number 1 in sacks and number 1 in turnovers forced on defense. So they have an incredible defensive front that is able to work. And now you just see an offense that is dominating. Isaiah Likely's playing great ball at tight end position for Mark Andrews. And the Ravens' losses, this is the key here. The Ravens' losses that they have are due to pressure. 4 sacks the Colts had against them. 4 sacks the Steelers had against them. And 3 sacks the Browns had against them. So the difference for anybody in the playoffs coming up is if you can pressure Lamar Jackson, because that's his weakness, does not do well under pressure. He really doesn't. And the teams that were able to play against him, because again, he has to come from behind him, and he showed himself that he can play quarterback. I hate the people that are coming out. He's still a running back. He's still this. No, he can play quarterback.
Yeah, he can play.
Bro threw 5 touchdowns last game against the second best team of the AFC, against Jalen Ramsey. He did it against guys that are actually good. He can play the game, but they're the biggest thing for them. They have a dominant offensive line that gives Jackson time, avoiding his shakiness under pressure. But when they do fail, when they do falter, that's where they implode, and that's when they lose the game. But their offensive line is crazy with Tyler Linderbaum and et cetera. Those guys are absolutely phenomenal. He's a great center, one of the best centers in the game. So that's the tail of the tape that comes in. If you're looking at Miami's looking rough. Miami, you don't know what you're going to get for them. You don't know what you're going to get for them. It's very frustrating because they're inconsistent against good teams. You can beat the Bills, but then you lose like this to the Ravens. And I'm not comparing the Ravens to the Bills. They're totally different teams. They're still both right now playoff teams.
Bills can get the 2 seed possibly.
They can if they win this week, and it's weird because Miami just came off a win against a talented Cowboys team, and then you lose like this. And it's frustrating because I don't understand this. I understand that they lost 3 of their biggest defensive playmakers. I get that. I understand that. But you also only had one of them for the Cowboys game that you held them under 20. So a lot of things have to change. There's inconsistency on defense, and they're getting exposed right now. But the Ravens are exciting. Obviously, they're the favorite in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. They're probably the favorites to win the Super Bowl. But we'll see at the tail of the tape. If he doesn't get pressure, it's a whole game-changing performance for the MVP favorite right now.
Definitely. To you, Savon, in terms of the big picture for Baltimore, what are like realistic expectations? Like, do you feel as though if they make the AFC Championship and lose, that's a good what would be constituted a good season for Baltimore in terms of just like where they're currently playing?
They got to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I
got
think to really shut people up about Lamar Jackson's ability to play quarterback, he has to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And now, if he wins the second MVP, he'll be the youngest quarterback or youngest player ever
at
to win
26.
at 26. And once he does that, it's still going to be. I saw something on TikTok. A lady was, I don't know what show it was. I think it was like CBS. She was like, "I want my quarterbacks to be quarterbacky," and I really just want to just reach into the phone and shut up. How did you get this? How are you here? You want your quarterbacks to be quarterbacky? Okay, all right, lady. But I was on the fence for Lamar Jackson with MVP because of the numbers, but these last 3-4 weeks, he's been put on, obviously, just 321, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 18 for 21. QBR was phenomenal. And what the biggest takeaway from the Baltimore Ravens, and they definitely have to win a Super Bowl. Winning ACC championship is ACC championship. Yeah, it's not enough. Just hearing it's not enough. ACC championship. No, we won a Super Bowl. They built this team to win a Super Bowl. They've had this style of play and playbook for them to win the Super Bowl and to just denounce all the haters. But the defense is what's coming. Patrick Queen, Jadeveon Clowney is coming out of the woodworks. Marlon Humphreys, who's still you need to bulk up a little bit because oh, that's embarrassing, bro. That's a kill shot, and Westcom just ate it. Debo just ate it. But the defense is playing way better. Top 4 defense in the NFL. I mean, to what they had to come from a lot. I mean, it's kind of funny, man, because I didn't have Ravens on my radar in the beginning of the season. I don't think anybody outside of the fans really had the Ravens on their radar. And now it's not because Lamar Jackson is not a good quarterback in the offense. J.K. Dobbins went down again. They just had another guy go down again.
Mark Andrews went down at the beginning of the season.
Yep. And then there was a lot of drop passes, not on Lamar Jackson. So we didn't know what this offense was going to be eventually. Yep. But I mean, it's a lot of mixed direction, a lot of RPOs, a lot of making the defense think. And I think that's the counteract for aggressive defense. You got to think against the Ravens. You just can't run a specific play. You have to be very strategic on how you run it, how you do it, what's the sign, this and that. And I think that's what the Dolphins fell into. I don't think they realized how many movements and how many plays was in one play the Baltimore Ravens have. And Lamar Jackson, it's one play. He faked like he was going to throw left, came back to the right, threw a dart because I think they were like, I want to say cover 2. It wasn't in the middle of the field. So I think it was probably like a cover 1, middle of the field, safety over top, man on the outside. So it's probably like cover 1 or cover 0. And he threw a dart accurate. Not his feet was not planted either. It was against Miami. It was a beautiful play. I forgot what linebacker said this in the interview, and I was like, yeah, that was a beautiful play. Fake left like he's throwing with his left hand, come back, not even plant his foot, throw a dart. Had to be like 50 yards, accurate.
Crazy.
But he's not quarterbacky.
He's got an arm. I mean, he's won the Heisman. He's won an MVP. What more do you want from the man?
Yeah.
And like Zay Flowers shows himself that he's a good wide receiver.
Oh, yes.
He's pristine, and that was a phenomenal pick.
Yes.
Should have been the first wide receiver taken out of the draft, but that's neither here to say. Yeah. I don't know who Quentin Johnson is. He's clearly not a wide receiver anymore in the NFL. But
great point.
He don't get it twisted though. He's got help with the injuries from Joe Burrow. You know, they had played him in the first game, but they didn't have him in the second game, especially with MVP help. You have Brock Purdy throwing those 4 interceptions or whatever it was. You have Tyreek Hill injured, who if he had stayed healthy, if he had gotten over 2,000 yards, Tyreek Hill should have won the MVP. But he got injured.
That's Wellington's guy, Micah. Wellington's guy.
Now the 49ers.
Brock Purdy is legit. Except the one game, he's stat leading in almost every category. But anyway, regardless, he's got some help, but he's taken what he's needed to take. He said, "These are my last few games in this season. I'm going to show them that I should deserve the MVP." And right now, he's the runaway favorite. He's going to win that. They're first in the AFC. They have to get to the Super Bowl because even when they get to the playoffs, you still might have to face Tua. You still might have to face Patrick Mahomes. You still might have to face Josh Allen. It's a talented. The AFC is overloaded in talent in the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And so you never know what's going to happen. It
even
just
the
takes
Browns.
one game.
Even the Browns. The Browns are tough.
And the Browns are crazy. Joe Flacco, That's my guy. That's MVP right there. Let's be real.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Joey.
I'm just kidding. But that
Oh,
would be such a
Joey.
great game if we
It
could
would
see him
be.
play against the Ravens in the playoffs.
That would be, yeah. That would be dope.
Definitely. And now getting to the Cowboys-Lions game. Dallas won 20-19 this past Saturday night. The Lions went for two after their late touchdown, but lineman Taylor Decker was ruled an ineligible receiver. Detroit failed to convert the next two tries. Even seeing that, like, when the touchdown was upheld and then the refs were just looking at each other, hey, we can't let the Cowboys lose tonight. We just got to throw the ball. It was a wild finish. But to you, Micah, what were your thoughts on how the game ended? And obviously Detroit. I mean, it's a game Detroit should have won, but that play gets taken back.
I mean, it's heartbreaking when you watch, and even if you're the Cowboys, that's not a good win.
That's not
you
a good
feel
win.
Good about that.
I hope not.
You know, but
don't feel good about that.
So number one, that play should not have been called the way it was called. You can clearly see Sewell and Decker go up with, or Skipper go up with Decker to try to confuse the defense, but the ref called the wrong person eligible. And so they said, even if he wasn't, this guy was ineligible, it would have been an illegal formation because he was inside the tight end. The other guy was that they said that they reported as ineligible. But I think we can see that they were wrong, considering they were just downgraded and are banned from the playoffs for this season, at least. So that's not going to happen. But also, that we should never have gone to that play because they called a horrible tripping call on the drive before that for the Cowboys. That was supposed to go the other way. So the play never should have happened. Cowboys should have had the ball. They should have gotten the 1st and 10 on that tripping call. So they blew it twice. Cowboys should have won the game if they called the tripping play right. But because they called it wrong, Detroit then should have won the game with that wrong call. So if I'm Detroit, I'm feeling good. I played against a talented Cowboys team and I stuck with them and to a close game and should have won the game. The Detroit Lions are proving that they can be a playoff team. They're not a bad team. Amon-Ra St. Brown is proving himself to be one of the best wide receivers in football.
Even though Detroit is better than the Cowboys?
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying they feel good about that win. They should feel good about. I mean, you're going against. You just don't know. They're inexperienced in the playoffs, even though Cowboys stink in the playoffs. I understand that. Don't get twisted.
In December.
Specifically December.
I get it. Don't get twisted. I understand. But we don't know. We don't know the unknown. There's an unknown in one with Detroit, and there's a consistently known bad playoff contender in Dallas. And so I'm having to compare Dak and CeeDee Lamb, who's having one of the best seasons. He's having the best season that he's ever had, and one of the best wide receiver stat seasons this season. He's doing incredible. He would have been first, even though Tyreek Hill is still first, even with a couple games out. That just shows the dynamicness of Tyreek Hill. But it's a good playoff preview. I think both of them. I think Detroit should be more excited because they proved that they can stay with the talented team and almost won the game against the talented team. Probably should have won the game against the talented team.
Definitely. To you, Savon, what were your thoughts on the end of the game, and also, how the Lions should feel going heading into the postseason?
Boo, 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 boo. These referees are just hot garbage, bro. There again, and I'll keep saying this every time they mess up, there has to be some type of accountability. And I know Roger Goodell can overturn something, whatever. There has to be some type of accountability for these referees because it was blatant. Like, all these mishaps are blatant, and they just, how many times do dude got to check in? At this point, you his wife. How many times he got to check in with you? That's crazy. It should be one time. If you're the white hat, you're the head guy, correct? If I check in with you and you give me a head nod and you run off, bro,
should be good.
We should be good. Game's over. Game's over, right? Obviously, they had a couple more tries, but still,
which they should have done. They should just kick the field goal after.
They should after that, and I love the aggressiveness that they did have, but this would have never happened. I think the biggest thing is there has to be some accountability for these referees. Obviously, they're human; they're gonna make mistakes, but not blatant mistakes like hand on the line, am I on or off, checking in, which they do 1,000 times with tight ends and offensive linemen. There has to be some type of accountability. And then Dak Prescott can't play in December. Wellington, we talked about that. We talked about his MVP caliber. If he can finish, if he can finish in December, I don't know what it is about Cowboys quarterback these last years. Tony and Dak.
It's the curse of Tony Romo, man. It's the curse of Tony Romo. He dropped that field goal.
Oh yeah, against the Seahawks.
Ever since then, it was over. Ever since then, it was over.
That's crazy. That is right. When he first came in from Blitzo. Bledsoe have put so many quarterbacks on the map. Tom
Brady,
really did. Tony Romo.
Honestly, man. Bledsoe needs his flower.
Tom Bledsoe. But man, I think the Lions they're capable of making a run for the Super Bowl. It's just because how aggressive they are, I think it's going to get on a lot of teams' fingernails, skin, whatever the case may be. I think they want to be aggressive. They want to be the aggressor because for so many years, trust me, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. We've been whipping their butt for years. So maybe I'm a little biased because I'm NFC North, but I think they have a chance to make a run for it. I think they have the weapons. Obviously, they go toe-and-toe with a hot Dallas Cowboys team and come up short because of the referees' incompetence. I'm just going to say that. But I do think they play like that against any team. Look at the first game of the season against the Chiefs. I mean, it's a laundry list of teams that they beat handily or stay toe-to-toe with and show how good they are. They clinched the division for the first time in so many years. Obviously, they don't, like you said, they don't have the playoff experience, but a lot of teams don't have the playoff experience, really. When Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, they never been in playoffs in about 10 years since Westcom was the head coach. Marvin. Ocho Cinco.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of teams that have the experience. I never take that. It's the NFL, so I never take that into account of the experience they have. If it was college, for sure. For college, for sure. But these are grown men. They know what it takes to win ball games. I think the Lions have a chance, but that was a folly by the referees. At some point, there has to be some accountabilities for these referees because
the Lions are the second best team in the NFC right now. In my opinion,
first?
The second best.
Who's the first?
San Francisco. Are you seeing?
Easy. Thank you. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to
hear. Brock Purdy.
49ers stock is still high.
Brock Purdy. Incredible defense. Christian McCaffrey. Debo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk.
Do not say Kittle. Brock Purdy in that sentence. Brock Purdy has the
MVP
stat.
Candidate.
He has those stats because he has the top 10.
He's gonna say Yak. He's gonna say.
Thank you. Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. Yak.
Let me say something though. He also has the highest average yards per pass in the NFL.
I'm throwing to the top 10 Yak receivers,
That's before Yak.
That's even before.
That's before Yak.
No, I'm saying if my running back, tight end, wide receiver are top 10 in Yak, right? And then they're the top 10 weapons in the league, I better have that. You act like he has.
He has to make the throw.
Bro, you act like he's in the NFL, bro. He better. It's pitch and catch. It's like he doesn't like he has Ted Ginn Jr. or some other people that you don't know about. He has the top 10 Yak people in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey can have me back there at a quarterback and still do what he does. Come on, man. Brock Purdy is a game manager. He's not an elite quarterback. You put him in any other situation. Put him in the same situation as Cam Newton when he first got it. He had Ted Ginn Jr. as his number one receiver, and he went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Micah, can we agree? Mike, can we agree? That team is healthy. If that team is healthy last year,
Brock Purdy can't do that.
They're in the Super Bowl. If
Brock Purdy can't take a team with no bodies. This is an elite quarterback. If you could take a team to the Super Bowl with wide receivers, bro, Brock Purdy's not an elite quarterback, bro.
That's holding a quarterback to something he can't control.
Yeah,
he can't control.
Those are the receivers he has.
That makes you. That's the difference between a game manager and an elite quarterback.
No, he can control the receivers around him.
What I'm saying is people are giving him more credit than he deserves.
He deserves all the
he's
credit.
just like Jimmy Garoppolo. You see what happened when he's taking. You see what happens when you take him out? Same quarterback. Same quarterback. Get out of here. Same quarterback. Same weapons. They go to the Super Bowl. I can't say that on full scope.
Yeah.
He doesn't he doesn't step to the plate. He doesn't step to the plate. They lose the Super Bowl. He has the same weapons, same similar offensive line, same running game. Didn't step up.
No.
Put Brock Purdy in a situation where he has to be the elite quarterback. We've seen that time and time. He's not an elite quarterback.
You put Brock Purdy in Oakland where Jimmy G was. They're a playoff team.
I think so.
They're a playoff team. They got a stellar defense. He's got Devontae Adams to throw to.
Yeah.
That's better than any receiver that he has at the moment.
Bro.
Garoppolo's underachieved.
He can make that happen.
What is this?
Jacobs on the team.
Brock Purdy love. The dude is a dud, bro.
I'm not saying they go undefeated. I'm saying they make the playoffs, whereas Raiders are a losing team.
So you're saying if Brock Purdy was with the Raiders right now,
it'd be a playoff team.
Micah, I love you to death, brother, but that's not good. That's not good.
It is. They have the talent.
Better. You know better.
Pause. They had the talent, and they had Jimmy G at quarterback, who's a past has-been quarterback for one season. Not the same. Not the same.
The only difference, everybody was this high on Jimmy G. Everybody was this high on Jimmy G.
I was not.
When he came from the Patriots, when he took them to the Super Bowl, and then when he got into another system without Kyle Shanahan, he was a dud. And
people
he was
were
always
more hesitant on Garoppolo than Purdy. People were more hesitant.
And a lot of people are hesitant on Brock. The hype is real. Because they have Christian McCaffrey, they have Deebo Samuel, they have George Kittle, they have Ayuk, they have him over there. He has so many weapons. It will be a surprise that he's not an MVP.
So let me take you to the proof of why he is that guy. Last season is the biggest proof of why he's actually not a game manager. Because when he got injured, everything went downhill.
Exactly.
Everything.
He's the quarterback. He was a third-string quarterback. What are you talking about? Of course, everything's going to go downhill.
Chad Henne won a playoff game when Patrick Mahomes went down. Chad Henne won a playoff.
Bro, what are you talking? You're going to 1965 with Chad Henne. Get out of here, bro. He's the third-string quarterback. Of course, everything is going to go array because there's nobody else to run. They had Christian McCaffrey. They had Deebo Samuel. They had Ayuk. Bro, it was going to be the same thing. He's not an elite quarterback.
He took them. When he was
took them where?
Did not lose a game as a third-string quarterback.
He took them
That's
where?
That's not just a third-string quarterback game.
Did they have any injuries besides quarterback? Did they have any injuries?
I can't tell you if they do. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I can tell you they did not. Trent Williams was healthy. The whole offensive lines were healthy. They had Christian McCaffrey just coming over.
The other quarterbacks couldn't do what he did. I'm telling you that. The other quarterbacks that they had didn't do what he did. They couldn't have done it because he's actually a good quarterback. He is better than just a system QB. I'm not saying he's like the greatest.
It's the system.
I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. Right. I'm not saying he's Joe Burrow. I'm not saying
you can't say none of that. You can't say he's even a hurt Aaron Rodgers.
But he's just not a system QB.
Jalen Hurts is the
typical a system quarterback.
Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
And he deserves to be in the NFC.
Let me ask you this question. If he doesn't win any Super Bowls with this team, what does that say about him as a quarterback? We have to give him a window of 4 years.
It depends on how the games play out.
No. Look at his roster. If he's not bro, don't do that.
I'll give you that.
If
he doesn't win a Super Bowl with this roster, which he will this year, so don't get it twisted.
Get out of here.
If he doesn't win a Super Bowl with this roster, you can call him that. But he's had an incredible season. He's had the season the likes of the last couple of years with elite quarterbacks that you say are elite.
Because
he's a phenomenal
you know
quarterback.
why? All he has to do is throw it, and they're going to get yacked, Micah. They're going to get 30 yards after the catch.
All the way to Super Bowl. They're going to yak all the way to Super Bowl.
Stuffer. They're not going to the Super Bowl, bro.
He's going to throw that Lombardi right
to the Super Bowl.
They're
not going to the Super Bowl.
Who in the NFC is
going to beat that team in the NFC?
Philadelphia Eagles, baby.
Oh my God. Get out of here, bro.
They might be a first round exit. They might be a first round exit.
Watch this. It doesn't matter about the regular season when they still have 10, 11 wins, right? When it comes to the playoffs, have you ever seen the Philadelphia Eagles not show up? Just give me that. Have you ever seen them not show up in the playoff?
They show up.
And
Get out of here. You think they're not going to show up?
But they are showing who they are. They're showing who they are.
Show who they are.
They are not as good as they were last year. It's obvious. They aren't.
They're not.
They aren't the same team.
10 wins?
They're not the same team, man.
Yeah,
we have been trying. We have been trying.
Crazy.
They were the clean favorite last year.
I don't know where you came from on this 49ers bandwagon because you was not this high on the 49ers last year or the year before.
I said this entire year I've been saying the Super Bowl. Haven't I?
I'm talking about the years prior. I don't know where you came from as 49ers love.
We didn't believe that
we didn't believe Garoppolo. We didn't believe in Garoppolo.
I never believed. Even when they went to the Super Bowl, I was like,
Chiefs are going to believe.
Garoppolo's
they're
not
the
that guy.
Same quarterback. Same with Penix.
I will agree to disagree.
We'll revisit this in February. We'll revisit this in February when they are hosting.
Bro, when they go to the Super Bowl, I want a formal apology for both of you. On Facebook.
Yeah, he's gonna.
I'll only apologize if the Eagles make it. If the Eagles make it, I'll
apologize then. Yeah.
No. The 49ers will not make the Super Bowl. Because you know why? Because Brock Purdy's going to get in a situation where you have to be an elite quarterback and he's not going to show up.
He's going to show
Playoffs
up.
can't come soon enough. We cannot wait to witness San Francisco greatness.
This is why I miss
corner, baby.
This is why I miss Savon on here when I'm on.
That's crazy. I don't understand what you guys been drinking. What's in that cup? What's in that cup? What's in that cup?
Yeah, water. H2O.
Yeah, all right.
And after listening to the NBA with the Knicks trade and also thoughts on how OG Anunoby fits with them. Recently, the Knicks acquired Anunoby in a trade that sent RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly in a 2024 second-round pick to the Raptors. New York is also getting forward Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn in the deal. Anunoby has been one of the league's most coveted trade assets. They had the win last night against Chicago. To you, Micah, in terms of this trade for the Knicks and what they're getting, what were your thoughts on it for them, and also how they're doing currently in these?
Yeah, I think it's a decent trade. Yeah. It's not this blockbuster trade. It's not going to be amazing, but I think it does something for the Knicks that they didn't have with RJ Barrett, because OG Anunoby is a freak of a physical talent. He's 6'7", 240. He can guard multiple defenders, and he actually plays defense.
Yeah,
he's averaging, and Anunoby has averaged 1.7 steals per game over the last 2 years, which is third most in the NBA. And so, with the system that they run right now, you have Brunson, you have DiVincenzo. Sometimes you have some other people out there that can shoot the ball, but they really run a huge Brunson, Randall pick and roll, pick and screen, that type of game. What OG does for them that RJ Barrett didn't give for them is they give another threat on the outside when that happens. So they have to spread the floor more. Randall can be more dominant. Jalen Brunson can be more dominant. And you have a guy that can cover not just one position. He can cover. He's covered 7'2" centers. He can cover the power forwards. He's quick enough to cover a point guard. He can cover any position. He can defend any position. That's the reason why I think this is a W for the Knicks. It's not a massive, big transforming, but I think they can win more games with him than they would win with RJ Barrett, even though they have similar stat lines when it comes to point per game. But OG Anunoby can get rebounds. He can get steals. He's going to put pressure. And he can shoot the ball. He's shooting about, I think, 45% this year from 3-point shots wide open. I mean, he can shoot the ball, and that's what's going to happen when you have that pick and roll scheme that they run. Because when they didn't have RJ, they did have RJ. They had him out there, and then you also had Hartenstein and some other guys. And so you're crowding the floor with big men that can't shoot, and that destroys your pick and roll system with Brunson and Randall. So he gives them a lot of different things alongside Grimes and alongside DiVincenzo out there with Brunson.
Definitely.
Especially with Robinson being injured.
Oh yeah, that's really pivotal. To you, Savon, what were your thoughts on the trade, and also how he fits in with some of the other guys, the key guys, Jalen Brunson, even Randall, kind of improving, and DiVincenzo as well?
Too early to tell for me. Fouled out in his debut. Although he had 17 points, 3 from 6 from 3-point line, and I think it's going to be his offense is going to be up and down. It's not going to be like big numbers. I think the last 11 games before he got traded, he averaged 13 points a game. I think more so is going to be the defense because he did have a steal in his debut. But like you said, it's not a blockbuster trade. I just think they want to get Barrett out of there There's a lot of noise about he was just like the missing link. They didn't want him there anymore, and he hasn't stepped up to the plate since he's been drafted into the league. I don't think he's came to fruition just yet.
Yeah.
But I thought it was. I think it's too early for me to tell right now, and I don't want to say that him getting fouled out is any indication. I mean, getting fouled out is whatever in the NBA, but it's too early to tell because he didn't have a full game, 35 minutes. But I want to see him at the tail end what he does, and he's not going to be a big offensive presence. He might, stretch out the floor and shoot some threes for them. I think which they need. Barrett really didn't do that, but the defensive presence I think is what they needed the most, and that's what they went for.
Definitely. To you, Savon, are you losing any faith in the Lakers yet? Lost 9 of their last 12. Darvin Ham, he's on the hot
I watched
seat.
them lose last
yeah, exactly.
night.
I'm saying it's getting LeBron, AD, and nobody else.
Oh my goodness, man! Yeah, and I'm not losing faith because I'm loyal. I'm not saying I'm a Lakers fan by any point, but just saying this is my pick. I'm gonna stay with my pick regardless. But they play so sloppy. Lakers play so sloppy. A lot of turnovers. Miami,
it's disappointing.
Yeah, they had 16 turnovers. No. They had 8 or 10 turnovers, 16 points resulting from that. It was just sloppy passing, sloppy ball. Like they didn't really want to be there. LeBron, you could tell he's getting old. Sometimes you don't get back on defense. He'll just look at somebody, make a turnover, just walk up the court, and then AD, man, there's got to be something. There's got to be something.
AD's actually been playing well this
just,
year. It's more so the supporting role guys. Like, what is out the most
the start?
I mean, I just they have, especially in the offense, they have the roster. Like that's a deep roster. That's a deep roster. And Reeves isn't playing like he was last year. The other guys around him, Rui's not playing like he was last year. The other guys aren't playing like he was last year. And so you're taking on a guy who's over 20 plus years in the league, LeBron, and a guy who's prone to injury with Anthony Davis. And this is what you're going to get. I mean, it is disappointing, especially with the hype that they had after coming off last season. And going in through the offseason, like that's a good team. They got some good guys to back up these guys, and it's disappointing. I mean, I love it because I hate the Lakers. I'm a huge Spurs fan, so I've been sitting and watching. All I can do is sit and watch the glorious Wembanyama do what he does and have nobody else around him. So I'm just enjoying this season. It's been bad. We won like 5 games. You know, I'm not here saying we're good. It's exciting to have Wembanyama. But I thought we were going to get a lot more from the Lakers this year than we have so far.
Same. I mean, especially after the in-season tournament, everybody was like, "Oh man,
yes.
here's it." Savon was. Were you a fan of the in-season tournament, Micah?
No, I was not.
It's exciting. I like the in-season tournament. I don't know.
Well, listen, that's all you wanted. You just wanted somebody to agree with you. That's all you wanted.
No, I didn't. I haven't talked to him about the in-season tournament.
I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know about hanging the banner.
Yeah, me too.
That seems kind of cheap, but like it was exciting.
That was corny.
They hung the banner
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was lame.
I thought that was a joke.
No.
It was 100% serious.
Oh my goodness! Because I saw a meme with Kobe. It was like, and I was like, okay, that's just a joke. They're not gonna do that.
I'm like, you got money. Why you need a banner? You got bonus.
They put a bonus.
Don't need a banner.
They're checked out after that. Like, all right, bro, you want
a little banner up there.
Glorify mediocrity, bro. What is going on, bro? Yeah, but crazy. You liked it, bro.
It was exciting.
It's a good change to the pace of the season.
Back into the middle of the season. It did.
And now look at the Lakers. Now look at the Lakers. Gassed. The Lakers,
but they won the NCAA.
You can't say that with a straight face.
It's a good. No, it really is a good idea. It brings a lot of excitement back into the middle of the season. Nobody really cares. They just wait for the playoffs. And it gives some excitement for the players.
And then now we're just like disgusted with the Lakers now.
And they got some cool courts. They got some cool courts the whole time too. They got
courts were dope. The courts were dope,
bro. Nobody with epilepsy went to those games.
Get sued for that.
Forgive me.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Forgive me.
And I'll get into Minnesota and OKC. These two teams have been top 2 in the West consistently. OKC, they keep winning big game after big game. Beat Boston earlier this week, and I mean Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, those guys have just been really clicking. Obviously, Minnesota top of the West. Like, to you, Micah, which team has been kind of like more surprising and more impressive so far this year?
I mean, the most surprising is hands down Minnesota because with what we have seen over OKC the last couple of years, we're like, okay, they have a lot of assets. They should be here. They should be here soon. It might be, especially with the breakout of Shea Gilgeous. So like, there's going to happen sooner than later with a healthy Chet, with healthy guys that they have around them. I'm not surprised that they're here. But both teams shot up from last season. Minnesota was 42-40 last season. The Thunder were 40-42 last season. So you look at these teams, and I don't see that from Minnesota. They didn't really change that much. You don't really see like this massive influx of talent and prospects and guys that can really explode, young guys. You have the same kind of players that you have. You have Gobert, you have Towns, and you have Anthony Edwards. And due to their credit, they've done their job, and that's why it's surprising, because they've just done their job. And it's not flashy. Anthony Edwards is flashy, but it's not flashy from most of the team. But Minnesota's defense is giving up the fewest points per game in the league, and that's the biggest thing for them this season is their defense. Their defense has been absolutely outstanding, and they're also getting the help and offense that they need. They have players like Naz Reid, Michael Conley, and Jaden McDaniels are stepping up on offense. It's astounding. They're middling in the offensive rebounds per game, assists per game, steals per game, and even they're fourth most in turnovers per game. But both teams are incredibly consistent on offense, and especially on defense. The Thunder are first in 3-point percentage, whereas Timberwolves are fourth in 3-point percentage. The Thunder are third in field goal percentage. The Timberwolves are I think sixth in field goal percentage. They're first and second in opponent's field goal percentage, 10th and 5th in opponent's 3-point percentage. This is why it's astounding that the Timberwolves are at the top, because statistically, if you're looking at the team stats, Thunder have been dominating on both sides of the ball. They've been absolutely incredible. But the biggest thing for the Timberwolves is that they are not allowing other teams to score. And that's the biggest. If you have the lowest defensive points per game or allowed points per game in the league, you're going to have wins. And they've been able to win, and they've been doing their job. And it's great defense from the beginning, and that's what it's exciting to just see a defense dominate.
Definitely. To you, Savon, who has been the more impressive team? Because like OKC, people are starting to feel like, man, this team can go to the Western Conference Finals just out of nowhere. Yeah. And obviously we have to see them in the playoffs. But who to you between the two would you have your pick as the most impressive?
I would say OKC because I think the Timberwolves, we already knew Edwards is going to explode after we see him in the whatever that crap was.
The end season?
No. What? No.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the World Games. The World Games.
Oh, World Cup.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
World Cup, And we see how aggressive he was, mixing up the bag. I already knew eventually it's going to be an amount of time where he's going to be the star guy, and I still think he's the guy. And you have Rudy Gobert, you still have Karl-Anthony Towns who's playing out like, and then Rudy Gobert, he's still playing at a high level defensively. So they have the veteran presence. They have a young guy who's stepping up and being the face of the team. I knew eventually they're going to figure it out. But OKC, they still have young guys. You look at this bench, there's nobody you can say, oh, I know them. This is what they can do. And I don't know if that's going to be their strong point or their weakness going into the playoffs and making a run to the NBA Finals. But Shea's playing. Josh Giddey, I think he had a career high of 23 points the other day. Jalen Williams had 4 steals in that loss, I think, yesterday. And like these guys are starting to figure it out, but they're still young. And I think that's what I'm most impressed with, because we've seen what CP3 did when he came over and led them to this point. And then after they were gone, they were right back at square one. So they're trying to figure out a formula. They're still young. Chet Holmgren. I'm still high on Chet Holmgren. I think if he would never got hurt in the Pro-Am, I think he would have been more of a household name by now.
He would have been the focus. He would have been the focus of that rookie.
For sure. Nah, because he has a game. He gets dunked on, but I mean, everybody gets dunked on now. Everybody gets posterized.
I mean, I agree with you on all of this. I think that they are the more talented team, but I think it's impressive to see what the Timberwolves have and the lack of changes that they have and lack of hype outside of Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns, and they're still number one in the West.
But they have a bench, though.
Yeah, they do.
They do have a solid bench. I expect this from the hype of the OKC. I expected this. I expected them to be dominant either this year or next
Did you
year.
expect them to be this high this early? A lot of people expected them
this
to
early,
figure. Yeah,
but
and that's what's impressive.
But I didn't think Timberwolves were going to be even close to this.
Oh no, for sure they
I would
would.
give the
Yeah,
upside
no,
of possibility to the Thunder, and that's why I'm saying the Timberwolves are more surprising. But
not to me. I knew the Timberwolves was going to figure it out. You have
I
one
didn't
of
see
the,
OKC doing this.
best defensive performances from Rudy Gobert.
I don't know. That's all the Thunder do with this. I'm so high on Shai Gilgeous, man. He's so good.
That's all.
I knew he was a great player, but then you don't know. Josh Giddey came out of nowhere. He just had a career high.
He did, but he had a good season last year. And
Jalen Williams,
we're all high on Chet Holmgren.
Yeah,
Chet
but those
Holmgren,
two players, and they don't have a bench at all, and they're still winning. I think that's going to be their Achilles heel later down the road. But I didn't think they were going to be this hot and be top 3 this fast. I thought it was going to maybe squeak by after the All-Star weekend. And then they'll start getting in that groove right before and then jump back in there and then be top 5. Not this early. But we'll see.
At the beginning of the season, I had them at 5th at the end, and I had Minnesota still at 8th. So that's why, for me, it's surprising. That's why I'm.
So you have OKC finishing at 5?
I had them before the season. I had them finishing 5.
So you had 1 and 4.
Oh man,
I'm pretty sure Denver.
Denver was number 1 for sure.
Let me pop back.
I had.
Did you have Sacramento Phoenix in there? Yeah, Phoenix.
I had Sacramento at 2.
Okay.
And then I had Dallas at 3.
Ooh,
I'm glad
that changed.
Really then I had fast. Phoenix at 4. But a lot of things changed, man.
Yeah. A lot changed in the season.
And then I had Phoenix at 4. And that's where I had OKC at 5.
I didn't envision the Lakers and Warriors.
I didn't think Golden State was going to be that bad. I didn't think the Lakers were going to be this bad.
Yeah, Phoenix being number 9.
They were 5th and 6th. They were 6th and 7th for me.
Would it be crazy to say that Memphis is going to make the playoffs?
I don't think that would be crazy.
If Ja is jawing,
they can do it.
Your jaw is jawing,
bro.
Nah,
that dude's good, man.
Nah, he is. Good. He's so good. He has different elements in this game.
They're 5.5 games back from 10th right now, where the Lakers are at.
Yeah.
And they obviously have plenty of time, but they got to get They got to get it together.
Yeah. That suspension
they didn't do him any favors. They didn't do him any favors.
That destroyed them. That destroyed
them. For sure. And they knew what they were doing.
And you see now how valuable Ja is to that team.
Yes.
From going to 2nd to 4th last in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Bad. And that's how I think that's a testament. And I think Ja went out on that suspension. It's like, okay, he's pretty good. He's a pretty valuable guy for this team. That's the only reason why they were ever in contention last year, along with Jaren Jackson, of course.
Well, they'll have a play-in tournament availability. There's so many tournaments within a tournament.
You like the play-in tournament, though. You're a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the play-in tournament because it gets you closer to the NBA Finals. But this other one, just pay them $500,000, bro. Why we gotta play for it? What's going on? And now I'm gassed up, shawty.
LeBron at the end of it was like, "Man, this is a bad idea."
I told y'all I got y'all, and now oh man, I'm whatever.
And before we close out, Savon knows we always do this. We always do a list type of thing. He was wanting to do a top 5 NBA players list. So I was like, hey, when Mike is back on, we got to do it. So top 5 NBA players of all time. At 5, I got Shaq. 4, I got Magic Johnson. 3, I got Kareem. 2, I got LeBron, and 1, I got Mike.
No Kobe.
Hey, Kobe's top 10. I don't.
That's surprising that he's not in your top 5. Okay,
Micah, who do you have for your top 5?
So I'm going to go backwards because it's really similar. I got number 1 is obviously Michael. Ain't nobody like Mike. It's the world is round. Michael is the best basketball player in the history of the game. That's it. Michael Jordan is the best. He's number 1. Number 2 is LeBron. LeBron's longevity and his stats prove to us that what he can do at this level of the season, he's got the stats to prove it. The thing that hurts him, obviously, is the playoff record and the finals record. Number 3, I'm going alongside you with you. Number 3 for me is Kareem. And number 4 is Magic. Never seen a guy like him that can dominate in one position. And number 5 is where I'm skipping. 6, I have Shaq. Number 5.
Tim Duncan.
And again, I mentioned to say at the beginning that I might be a little biased, but I'm going to give you a case. Tim Duncan is number 5 all time.
I knew he did. Yeah.
Tim Duncan is number 5 all time. The best power forward by far.
Yeah.
Nobody even comes close to him.
Better than Karl Malone, for sure.
When you have a guy like Shaq who said, if you make the argument to me that Tim Duncan is the best player who ever played the game, I won't fight you on it. And when you have Popovich at the end of Tim Duncan's tenure, and he's talking, I wouldn't be here. I'd be coaching in some rec league or trying to play basketball if it wasn't for Tim Duncan. What Tim Duncan has been able to do for this team, he's remarkably unremarkable. Yeah, he's one of the most consistent players to ever exist and dominant from the get-go. He changed the landscape of a small market team in the San Antonio Spurs forever. He's only one of the GOAT candidates to win championships in 3 decades. He's the only one.
I'm so glad you gave that to him instead of the Admiral.
Yeah, he played 19 seasons, 5 titles and 6 trips, and he barely lost that 6th one based on one of the only times Pop has ever made an error in the people that he's putting out there. Yeah. Ray Allen shot. Yeah. He's tied for 4th in rings. He's had to compete in a difficult Western Conference with 2 other GOAT candidates in Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah.
15-time All-Star, 2 MVPs, 10 All-NBA first teams, 8 All-Defense, 3 Finals MVPs, 16th all-time in points, 6th in rebounds, 5th in blocks. He's a defensive menace from a seemingly non-athletic build. And he elevated his game from just a low-post player to a mid-range player throughout his career. And that's one of the things that I saw.
Transformation.
Most people don't do that. Most people will stay down low or try and they fail. And he elevated. He's a sharpshooter from that elbow. I mean, he really was. Honorable mentions, I had Shaq at 6. I had Larry Bird at 7. I had Bill Russell at 8, Walt at 9. Curry at 10 and Kobe at 11.
Yes, Steph top 10. Steph is top 10. I keep trying to say it
because of the way that he changed the game. There's only 2 people that have ever changed the game that Curry has.
Mm-hmm. Who's your top 5?
If that's the case. Okay, Shaq. No. Here we go. LeBron James number 1.
Oh.
Mike number 2. You got to give me Wilt Chamberlain. I don't care. The Wilt Chamberlain was the GOAT, man. To be able
over Kareem?
Yes.
Over Bill?
Yes. Wilt Chamberlain was something. He has one record that never will be broken. The man. I mean, and then I don't know. Wilt Chamberlain. Oh, okay. And then Scottie Pippen.
You better quit. Cut this off.
Quit, boy.
You better cut this off.
You better quit.
You put Scottie in top 5.
This is a joke list.
Oh my goodness.
It started off a joke list with LeBron at number 1, so keep going.
Oh wow. LeBron is the best player to ever play basketball. LeBron, Mike, Wilt Chamberlain. I had Kobe at 4. You just can't go against Kobe. What I've seen him do, obviously accolades speak for himself. He just wanted it more, bro. And then 5, gets tricky. I had Larry. Because Larry was a dog.
Larry's at 7. Larry's a dog.
Larry was a
one
dog.
One of the most underrated top GOAT players of all time.
And then I had Magic at 6, Tim Duncan at 7, Jerry West at 8, Bill Russell at 9, and then Kareem at 10. Yeah, man.
Kareem at 10 is crazy. Having that
that's so low,
bro. It's
like like one of the greatest.
Kareem was
the
a
greatest
game
scorer
changer,
ever.
but he was on a stacked team. He was the. I'm not saying he wasn't the best player, but he was on a stacked team.
But Kareem before he was with the Lakers, he was with the Milwaukee. He was even doing things, putting up work in Milwaukee.
He wasn't Kareem until he got to the Lakers, brother.
All he had was Oscar. He won a championship with the Bucks.
He wasn't Kareem until he got to the. He changed his name until he got to the Lakers. That's what I'm saying. Y'all read it too much into it.
He's the same dude.
No, he's different. He's Kareem.
Literally the same guy.
Lamar. Y'all went over your head.
What I noticed and something that I left out. Hakeem is not in my top 10, which is interesting. Hakeem's not in your top 10.
Oh,
Hakeem. No. Yeah, a lot of people have
a top 15 player. But.
Top 15 for sure.
He had a dream shake. He was a sniper on, but it was just he didn't.
I think he got the wildest Lasir Savon.
Shaq definitely puts in front. I think Shaq was a better player than Hakeem.
For sure. That's not even close.
Yeah. But Hakeem was a good player. I thought he was going to put David Robinson in or credit David Robinson for putting San Antonio on the map. So that's why I said I'm glad you gave it to Tim Duncan.
I'll credit David Robinson for getting injured the season before so they could get the number 1 pick. I love David Robinson, don't get me wrong. But if he didn't
The
get injured,
Twin
we wouldn't have had that
Towers.
pick. We would never have gotten him.
Yeah.
So thank you, David Robinson, for having an unhealthy knees.
Because Tim Duncan was that guy when it was immediate turnaround, bro. Tim Duncan, yeah.
And that boy didn't start playing basketball until he was 15 years old.
You gave a good autobiography, a biography.
He was a swimmer before this. He was a swimmer.
You know everything, bro.
Bro, I know that dude. That's my guy.
I didn't know he was. He looks like a swimmer. Wait, he looks like a swimmer.
I fell in love with the game because of Tim Duncan. He's my favorite player to ever play the game. Big fundamental. So good, man.
So consistent.
So consistent.
So consistent.
Absolutely.
Man.
Well, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on it. And we got to do this again back in February when the 49ers win.
Shout out to Scottie Pippen.
We'll have an NFL review for sure.
Shout out to Scottie Pippen. Shout out to 49ers losing.
Shout out to Steph Curry being a top 10 player. Shout out to Steph Curry being a top 10.
Shout out to Kyrie and everybody that LeBron leached off of to win championships.
Goodness. Oh, no. We got to.
What?
We're going to run that back for part 2. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.